All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Eric, or Aviator from AviatorPPG.com, and this is a very interesting video for my students who may have heard about this little adventure. This was taking off at the Wings of Our Winter location last week underneath a 20-meter Nucleon WRC. And I'm going to take you guys through just a bit of the flight first so you can kind of get an idea for how things looked, how things felt, the confidence I had in my motor, confidence I had in conditions, etc. It really was an absolutely beautiful day. Super smooth air. It wasn't perfectly smooth, I wouldn't say, but it was pretty darn fun to fly. You'll see here I come across the top of this power line, drop in behind this tractor, just kind of enjoying the area. My plan for the day was to come out and film a few little clips from Wings of Our Winter's field to kind of show off what people could expect flying there. So I wanted to go north into the wind, which, as you guys know, we always fly into the wind for the first leg of our adventures. And so I flew north, headed up toward Dundee, Florida, going through these groves, just really enjoying the air that I'm in, and starting to push this glider a little bit more because I had not really flown it that much at the time. I think this is my 4th or 5th flight on it. So waving at some folks who come outside to say hello, and basically just adventuring and having a great time with this wing. It's kind of neat. Now, what I want to talk about today is emergency preparedness and why it's very, very critical to always have an out in your head. Now, some guys don't do that, and at times I even risk it. As you'll see right here, I'm climbing out of my seat for a little water foot drag right here at the edge of the lake. Now, possibly at this moment, if I were to lose my engine, I could pop up and slide over to the shallower water. Now, I do have an Agama, so I do have a flotation device if need be. I would be okay, but you don't want to be getting wet. That's a big bummer. I'd lose my phone and a couple GoPros, and that's not something good at all. So right here, you're going to see I'm going to be heading a little bit more right, basically along that road toward our next big open field. And as I'm doing this, I'm climbing out, realizing to myself, well, I don't really want to land in these trees, because, well, orange groves are quite close together. These orange rows of orange trees. There we go. Rows of orange trees and orange groves are quite close together. So as you'll see here, I start heading more and more to the east in an attempt to get over to the small field that you see directly in my field of view now. Now, my engine's running perfectly. I've had no reasons whatsoever to assume that things might go wrong, and yet I'm still making that move to make sure that I have a place to land if necessary. Now that I'm within glide range of that small field, I turn back to the north in a plan to climb over these big high tension lines ahead of me and then make my way toward the next fields. Now, as you'll see here in just a moment, my engine does mess up. It malfunctions. I'll walk you guys through why in a moment, but first, listen in as this happens. So things aren't quite right, and I am a little grumpy about it, as you heard there. My line was, oh crap, this is going to be a heck of a hike, because I was about 1 mile to 2 miles from the main road, and I knew that these roads are usually not very passable. So as you see here, I come into land. I am actually using a very interesting technique. We'll work some of you expert pilots through, where I'm actually flapping the wing in so I have a little more control. I bring the wing down in between the rows as carefully as I can to make sure I don't damage or catch my lines on anything. Obviously was able to nail the landing pretty well and pull off the helmet.
Well, that wasn't supposed to happen.
That wasn't supposed to happen. As you guys see, let's walk back through once again through this landing procedure. So I realized the engine's not running correctly. Something basically created a stutter. In this instance, it was actually my carburetor and fuel lines mixed together, those two issues. One, I hadn't cleaned my carburetor in about 7 hours. Usually I can go longer, but I had picked up some fuel from our local airport here that has had some issues with filtration, and there were some fibers from that filter inside the little small screen on the intake side of my carb. So mixed with that, and mixed with the fact that one of my fuel lines was getting a little air in it. I did not realize that. I had not seen that, but it created an issue that was very easily resolved, but I had no idea what caused it at the time. So as I come in for this landing, obviously realize there's an issue, immediately turn back. I want you to keep in mind a couple of things. One, if you're looking for an emergency landing site, sometimes that landing site will be behind you. Don't be afraid to look behind you, always keeping in mind where you're going to land at all times of your flying experience. Having the idea idea that your engine's going to quit at all times is a lot more helpful than having fear that it might quit and not really planning for it. Obviously, we sometimes take risks flying over water and things like that, but I do have it out if I have to with the Agama. Next up, so I'm going back downwind toward that field. I'm hauling butt toward the field, and then I turn crosswind for my landing as the wind was from the northeast, and I landed more east than that. Obviously, that's still okay. We want to land as much into the wind as possible and still maintain safety. So the whole purpose of this video is just to teach my students, you guys, that it's important to fly with an out in your head at all times and to constantly be vigilant for where you want to land and to have that expectation that things might go wrong, but you'll still be okay. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a comment below. Let me know what your thoughts are, and we'll make some more of these soon. Talk to you guys soon.